Hello, I'm Mark,
I'm Casey.
And I'm Patrick.
and today we're going to talk about a article from Cards with Chords. But first, Casey, roll that title.
You're watching the Tesla Life Express.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We have got a special article to talk about today because it's been written by our friend and co-host, Mr. Patrick Connor, on his website, carswithchords.net. If you haven't checked out the link, please do. But Patrick, take it away. What have you got for us in your new article today?
Sure. Well, this came up on the show a week ago or so, and you can't miss what's been going on in the Tesla community recently. There are a lot of people that are upset with Musk. There was the whole website that was threatening to dox users or owners, Tesla locations and Tesla owners, unless they sold their vehicle. And it's annoying. There's this pressure. So I've talked on the show how I don't agree with Musk's politics. I liked Musk, the technologist. I first learned about Tesla in 2010, right before their IPO, and I've been a shareholder ever since they went public. And then I got my first Tesla in 2016. So this has been over a decade of ownership and investors. And so but that doesn't mean that just because I drive a Tesla, I agree with Musk's politics. And nor does that give people who don't like Musk's politics an excuse to vandalize my car or scream things at me or whatever. And so I wanted to make the point that everybody makes their own choices. And if their choice is to drive a Tesla, that's none of your business. And so it's titled Musk and His Haters Be Damned, I'm Not Selling My Tesla. And the reasons I'm not selling my Tesla are my own. And I go through some of them, but I don't have to justify that to anyone. And so let's go through the points and that I made in the article, and we can elaborate on each one of them. So Tesla has a mission. We just talked about in the live show Wednesday last week about how Musk did the Q1 all hands and how he talked about Tesla's mission. And that's the reason that I like this company. That's the reason I'm on this podcast multiple times per week. And it's because Tesla's mission is important. And so my hatred of Musk's antics is not greater than my desire to mitigate climate change. I think that is the most important thing of our generation. And I'm not willing to give that up because of what he's doing. So that's point one. You guys can respond to that one if you want.
Agreed. Yeah,
it's something that obviously it's individuals as to what they feel the most important factors are for their reason for investing in an EV in the first place. But you're absolutely right that is one of the most important reasons that are out there. Let's mitigate climate change.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it's just a car. It's not a political statement. It's a car that does what you want it to do. In this case, the environment, like I said, wasn't in my top 5, but it was there. But all the reasons I did get it are still there 7 years later on this second one. And I don't really have a desire to, there's plenty of desire to go get another one. Should the funds just appear. But there's no reason for me to go and get rid of it. And Patrick's going to talk on some points about why that would be as well.
Right. And I mentioned climate change, but maybe your reason is just performance. Teslas are tough to beat at the track. They're going to smoke some gas cars. So maybe that's your reason. Or energy independence. And you don't care what the source of the energy is. You just care that you can produce it locally and that it's not something that we're dependent on some other place for. And,
exactly. And the safety is huge for my family because our Model S saved us from a semi-truck that ran us repeatedly.
Teslas are incredibly safe vehicles. Some of the only ones that get 5 stars in every category, not just a 5-star overall. So you can have lots of great reasons. Okay, so the next point, and this is one that Casey made on the show that I liked, and I stole from you, Casey. I'll admit it. Musk is not Tesla. There's 125,000 people that work at the company. Yes, he's the loudmouth at the top, the one who gets all the media attention, but that doesn't mean that he's the only one that works there. So there's a whole team of engineers and designers, people who assemble cars, and they are all part of Tesla also. And just because he's saying this stuff and gets involved in Doge and other things, that doesn't change that that person who's going to work every day and assembling vehicles, that they're doing that to put money, to put food on their own table, and to try to make the world a better place. And so that's who I'm supporting by buying these products, by using these products.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch of the folks say, "Oh, Musk's Teslas and this and that." He hasn't touched even a fraction of these cars, or even laid eyes on a good many of them. Exactly. These are our cars, and these are the company's cars until they become our cars when we purchase them, however many years ago, or even today.
And you look at some of the other Tesla execs that do get some media, like Franz or Lars, and when they're discussing what's going on, you can tell they're passionate about their jobs and about designing and about pushing these cars to the next level. And you're right, it's not just Musk, but certainly the media spotlight is on Musk, and that's what we hear about the vast majority of times.
Yeah, how many of us have a story or more of the sales, service, or anyone else in the company just going above and beyond, working the system to its max, doing stuff that you would not even expect from somebody who was making a commission on you at another store? And I'm sure there's a good percentage of us that have a story like that, and that's worth something.
Absolutely. Right. It's okay. So my next point is that if you don't like Musk's politics, vandalizing Teslas is not the answer. So if you vandalize someone's car, you're damaging their personal property. And even if you don't agree with their politics, you don't get to do that. That's just not how a civil society works. That's illegal. And Teslas have cameras on them. You're highly likely to get caught, get arrested. And the other thing about it is that if this is some coordinated effort, it could be considered terrorism. And I did say that that is what this could be perceived as. And some of the comments I got back on this article were like, "Oh, you can't call that terrorism. It's just vandalism." But it depends on if there's this coordinated effort trying to push a political agenda through violence. That is terrorism. Yeah. And so, and again, I'm not a DA. I mean, common parlance, you could say, stop terrorizing your sister, right? Talking to your siblings or whatever. And so anyway, my point here is that that's not the way to advance your agenda. You're not going to convince someone that they should sell their Tesla by vandalizing it. You're only going to upset them and make them think that your side is wrong. And then if that Tesla needs to be repaired, where's it going to go? To a Tesla service center. And so you're going to effectively be giving Tesla more revenue, even if it's from the owner's insurance. So that's not helping your cause. So in no way are you helping your cause by vandalizing these cars.
And not only that, another avenue that they could use for they're already FBI and all the others have already said they're using maximum terrorism charges for this, but those folks that are going after the superchargers themselves, that is considered critical infrastructure because they're not just Tesla cars, and even if they were just Tesla cars, when you look at the reasons people would need them, but again, now it's open to everybody, but VinFast has signed on to, and VinFast may have already done it, but they haven't announced. Everybody has signed on to use these superchargers as their fueling network. So we just saw an article in California that said that there are more superchargers, or more supercharger handles, or more charger handles than gas handles.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if they were throwing Molotov cocktails at power substations, that would be considered terrorism. So attacking infrastructure is the same here.
Or a certain gas station Say they were going after Exxon stations.
Right. Yes.
And
if Molotov cocktails were being thrown at Exxon stations and they were being shot at in drive-bys, it would definitely fall into that category. Or even if it's just libraries or whatever,
Yep.
it doesn't matter. If there's something that's being targeted on a large scale like this in multiple countries, it's definitely could be considered this.
Yeah, and you pointed out that the Teslas all have cameras all over them. It's not just the Teslas. There have been cases of either mistaken identity or where a Tesla, or it was just nearby a Tesla, and Rivians and Polestars and other vehicles have caught themselves being lit afire or vandalized because people don't know the difference between the cars or don't care the difference between the cars. And so there was a Rivian that was directly vandalized locally, and it recorded its own issue, and the person was wearing a company shirt all across the back.
Yeah, the criminals. Man. Yeah, you can't fix stupid. Yeah, the wrong guy. Yeah. Okay, and my next point is that personal finances are personal. There have been flyers left on Tesla saying, sell your Tesla. And, well, okay, so where does that Tesla go? To someone else? And now it's still a Tesla that's on the road. So I don't see why there would be this push for these activists to try to get Tesla owners to sell their vehicles. And you don't get to tell me I have to sell my car. Personal finances are personal. So,
and additionally to that, all of us have a car old enough that if we do change hands, that car actually becomes a positive revenue stream versus being either neutral or negative, in my case, to the company, right, because the new owner doesn't have any of those, hey, thanks for hanging on benefits.
Right. Yeah. So just like the, vandalizing eventually can lead to revenue for Tesla, so could selling the car. So it's like completely not thought through. It's, one step thinking without actually looking at the full picture. And it's just that's what you get when you only think with hate, and you don't get a thorough message. So it doesn't matter. It's not your car. You don't get to tell someone else that they have to sell it. Just like I don't get to tell you can't drive a truck or a car, or you have to have a hybrid, or it has to plug in, or whatever. If it's there and it's for sale and that's what you want and meets your needs and you bought it, that's on you. Good job.
With them being personal, like somebody could have retired and used their retirement bonus to purchase this vehicle. They're not getting that again, so now they can't, and they also don't have the same income anymore to qualify for a loan. If they paid cash, it might have been a one-time cash deal. And
exactly.
And for the folks who are saying, "Oh well, I just burned it down and you can just use insurance." Insurance is not magic money. They're going to replace the market rate typically, and even if you have the special stuff, it's only going to be a small bump. A car like mine is 7 years old. I can't call up the 7-year-old car factory and get a new one. And,
exactly.
And then it will still have paid charging. So again, like I said, even that new car will have a revenue for the company.
Yeah, and selling a vehicle, at a loss because you're trying to get out of it quickly to follow a movement along. It just doesn't make sense to individuals that are fiscally responsible. It just makes no sense whatsoever. And as Patrick's thought was, you're still selling it to somebody. Okay, so if they want to change it, what's the next thing? Scrap your car? Like, is that the next thing? Make sure you take your car to a wrecker and have them crush it. Pay them to crush it so you know that they crushed it. Like, it's ridiculous.
I took it to the junkyard, paid them this much money, and then I took the battery shipped the battery to Redwood because it's heavy, and then Redwood recycled it, and now
it makes no sense.
Right.
That I'm paying money to the bank on, not me because it's 7 years old, it's paid off. But some of these folks not paying money on this car that I scraps.
Come on, get real.
Right. So my next point on this list is that a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs are not great people, and Musk lives this very online, out there life, and so it makes it easy to see where he stands on things. But do you know where Mary Barra stands on things? Do you know where other CEOs stand on things? Probably not.
We have an idea where the Toyota company stands on it, but they're no story.
Yeah, exactly. So they've been bashing EVs for a long time, and but again, it's not as politically divisive. But that doesn't mean that these are people that you'd want to hang out with. If they're CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, they're most likely greedy, out of touch, and could even have other issues. And so it's just that Musk makes it very public, and that's the two-edged sword that he lives by. So I don't know that just because other brands haven't been on your radar doesn't mean that they're all just unicorns and rainbows either.
Yeah, we were watching, well, not really watching, but it came on while we were in the hospital waiting to get out with the new baby. Hoarders came on for like a stretch. And one way to look at it is some of these folks are hoarders of cash, of finance, not necessarily of just littering their house full of trinkets. They have a pathological, it's never going to be enough. Like the dragon in so many fantasy movies. There's a good comic a couple years ago about Jeff Bezos wanted to grow up to be a dragon. And his dad said, "No, you can't." And then you see him with a Scrooge McDuck hoard of cash and the Amazon logo underneath it.
That's a good one. And then my last point in here is that right now there is nothing that compares to Tesla out there. And people say, "Oh, buy this, buy a Kia, buy whatever." You're not going to find one that has access to the complete charging network that Tesla has. Even the ones that have adapters, I mean, sure, they're joining NACS, but the Tesla's not giving them complete access. They're giving them to the less utilized portions of the network. And Casey, you mentioned the safety issues. Like we talked about how other cars might get 5-star ratings, but not 5-star in every category. And if you talk about performance, okay, they're which ones can compete with the performance versions of Tesla? Or efficiency, which ones can drive as far? Or cost, Tesla's prices have been coming down every year consistently. And so if you look at that whole package of technology and reliability, and there's just nothing that's even close. And
then for the price, because some of them do touch all or nearly all of it, but not for the same price.
Right. And yeah, so I mean, there's others. If you look at any one category, there might Tesla's one or two, first or second in that category. And sure, there might be others that are one in that category, but then they're like 10 in some other category. So yeah, you can go after any one category and pick something that's better. But if you want the overall package for the price, then it's Tesla. If you want the charging network, it's Tesla. If you want FSD, that's Tesla. Others have lane keep assist and other things like that, but nothing that's even close. And if you look at, they have things that are like equivalent to autopilot, but not FSD version 13. Maybe it's like version 9 or 10 of what FSD was back then. And the evolution of FSD has been incredible.
Yeah. It's something that you're right. The reason that this group of three have purchased other vehicles, other EVs, and then eventually ended up with Tesla. And all three of us have agreed that it's by far the best car we've ever owned when it comes to an electric vehicle, and even in some cases beyond any vehicle we've ever owned. But it's interesting that I have not been able to see another vehicle that has caught up to the technology, the efficiency, the cost, the supercharger network, the computer navigation of a Tesla. It's something that we believe we've reached the pinnacle of EVs, and no one else has gotten there. So getting another vehicle would certainly be stepping down in one or multiple categories, as described.
And our oldest cars are 7 years old, each of us. And then that's not to say that we haven't had older ones, but the ones we have in our garages, our oldest one, my only and Mark's only, and Patrick's oldest, are all 7 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. So speaking of the 7 years old, one of the things that we've seen some Tesla owners doing is getting this bumper sticker that says, "I bought this before Elon went crazy." And I understand if you want to put that on there, go ahead. But I'm not going to do it because why? I don't have to justify this to someone else. I don't have to say, please don't vandalize my car because I bought this 7 years ago. It doesn't matter if I bought it yesterday or 7 years ago. They still don't have the right to vandalize my car. And
then you're exposing yourself to a whole nother ideology of people who sometimes take things a little too far and do physical damage or terroristic threats, etc. And we're not saying that everybody does this, and we're not saying they're all one side or the other. They're at the ends of the horseshoe, which tends to bring them closer together, but with different words.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I didn't sign up for a cult when I bought this. I love the tech, and that doesn't mean that I'm not trying to make it a political football on either end.
It's a car, just like it used to be. I bought a Chevy, Ford, Cadillac, or some import.
Yeah,
it's a car.
Yep.
No, it's these are valid points, Patrick. It's something that, especially in the light of what's been happening lately, a lot of people have been having discussions about this. I know that I've had it with family members, friends, acquaintances, that you know, they don't understand all the aspects of what's going on. They seeing the news media coverage. They're seeing some negatives that are coming out about, you know, people picketing or people firebombing a supercharger, but not many go beyond the headlines to understand the full picture of what's been going on. And your article definitely puts some light on all these different issues that are all part of this mosaic that we're all living in today.
And worse than just headlines, some of it is like comedians talking about, oh yeah, well, you don't need to set the car on fire because it'll take care of itself. These things don't typically self-immolate, and if they do it at such a low rate compared to fossil combustion cars and to hybrids.
Right. So they're where do you say you're spreading misinformation as opposed to making a joke? And if you say, there were 5 Teslas on fire, well, actually only one was set on fire and the others just happened to do that, I can take that as a joke. And because but the worst part is when it's just propagating this misinformation. That's because, like you said, so many people don't look beyond the headlines or the jokes and to really know the true information about what are the fire rates of Teslas. And it's a fraction of what it is for gas cars. Yet, you know, every time one of them, a Tesla has an issue, it makes news. But the other 150,000 gas car fires that happened that day don't make news.
Yeah. Exactly. If I had believed that instead of looking at the numbers myself, and got in something other than my used Model S that day, when we got rammed repeatedly by that semi-truck, we might not be here talking to you about it today, because either it would have been a severe injury or much worse. The police, when they heard what it was, they didn't think they would come up to something that looked like a New York fender bender bumper scrape. He said that he thought that it was going to be that they were going to need to call some specialists to come along with it.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. That we certainly, Patrick's article has expressed all these points as to what's going on, but we'd now like to turn it over to you watching this video. What do you guys think? Is this, do you own a car already? Do you feel the pressure of public asking you to sell your vehicle? Do you agree with some of these points? Do you disagree with some of these points? We would love to hear from you in the comments as to what, after reading Patrick's article, what do you think about this issue? Does this make sense, or where does it not make sense? We want to hear from you and hear your viewpoints in the comments, and everyone would. So please make some comments about this, and you can also, of course, go to carswithcords.net. And Patrick has an actual area where you can put in the comments right on the article, and that would be an excellent place to do some of this discussion as well.
Yeah, got a couple already.
I'll review both here in the video and on the blog, either place. I'll make sure to respond.
And a couple other things to remember real quick before we close out is that you may see this repeatedly several times a day. It's not a huge portion of the vehicles that are affected, and unfortunately, if it ends up being you, it's going to feel a lot more. It's going to hit home a lot harder. But that 80 cars was unfortunately a drop in the bucket. They can do that all year long and still not hit 1% of the cars.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's go to shoutouts. Patrick, we're going to start with you this time.
Okay, as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at cardswithcords.net, where I write about my future free from fossil fuels.
Which we just learned about today. Casey, shoutouts.
So on Wednesday, we've got our live show coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern, and that's at The Tesla Life on YouTube. Can't reach it, different camera, and we hope to see you there.
Very good. Very good. Well, thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up. Press that subscribe button if you haven't already. And check us out on our X feed at The Tesla Life. And we'll get together next time and find out what's happening in that same Tesla Life together.
It doesn't have all the same shortcuts as the computer. So we'll catch you later on the flip side.
I went live.